Section 10 of Stories of the Saints by Candlelight. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Stories of the Saints by Candlelight by Vera Charlesworth Barclay. Goodbye. A gray morning, but quite fine. Some of the cubs went off to bathe after breakfast, others to do final shopping and buying of presents to take home, while some stayed in the field to help with the packing. The tent was struck and rolled up, swings and hammocks taken down, palliasses emptied and done up in bales, and by 12 o'clock all was finished and the time came to change out of the comfy old camp clothes into full uniform. How tight and hot boots and stockings seemed. After dinner, the cubs gathered round into the council circle. Everyone was feeling rather quiet. Aquila had a short powwow, and then the cubs squatted and let off a mighty grand howl as a thank you to everyone concerned for the glorious time they had had, and as a sign that they were going back to London, meaning to do their best as never before. Then they fell in, too deep, and, with a last look at the field, marched away. There was plenty of time before the boat was due to sail from Ryde, so, after marching smartly through the village, they fell out and strolled along the wall or the seashore. On reaching Ryde, they fell in again and halted near the fountain, two at a time, falling out for drinks. At Smith's bookstall, Aquila bought a supply of comics to read in the train. On board the ship, an adventure happened. Big Andy, of course, dropped his cap overboard. The sea was rather rough, and it seemed as if the cap must be lost, 2 stars and all. It was too far down to reach with the ship's mop or any stick, but luckily some thoughtful cub had brought a long piece of string with an open safety pin on the end in hopes of catching a fish on the crossing. With this, the cap was fished for, while the people on the pier and the first-class passengers on the upper deck looked on with eager interest. Aquila thought there was no hope of ever seeing the cap again on Andy's head. She knew little that 2 pious cubs were busy praying. Presently, the cap was triumphantly pulled up amidst cheers from the pier and the upper deck. "I prayed he'd get it," cried a cub. "And so did I," exclaimed another. At Portsmouth, there was a terrible crush for the train, but, as usual, the cubs did well, for the kind guard gave them 2 first-class compartments and locked them in. And so they traveled back to dear smoky old London, very much browner and a good deal fatter than when they set out. The end. End of Section 10. End of Stories of the Saints by Candlelight by Vera Charlesworth Barclay.